like crazy PTSD. Like I don't think she had slept for, like she would lay down and like rest, but she probably hadn't slept for months. Like by the time she had reached out, and she had already tried everything, and she goes, I haven't talked to you in a long time. What do you think? And so, usually a really serious case of PTSD in the old days would be about a year of treatment. Once a week for about a year, I can usually resolve it. Sometimes 9 months. And I think we're on our sixth session, and I already told her, like, hey, you look like you're out of the woods. I'd say let's mop it up a couple more times, and if you need more, you let me know. But I think this is getting pretty close to being resolved. And the only difference that I did was I went really heavy on what we're talking about right now. I cleaned the aura up for a whole session, how we do the aura series. I cleaned that up for a whole session, tapped into it again, and then started doing this, and then started treating a little bit of the effects of the PTSD. And I mean, it's almost completely resolved.
So this reminds me of a new patient I'm working with. And during intake, I asked her if she had any traumatic injuries. And it probably took us 20 minutes to get through all the things that have
Right.
happened to
Yeah.
her body.
Right.
And it almost feels like, okay, when's the next thing coming?
Right.
And
Right.
I look at what we did today and it's like, oh, we can clean it up, we can clear up the pattern, and we can get her back towards rest, not just rest and repair, but a life that doesn't keep breaking.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
That
because you
helps.
you bring up a very good point, because like degeneration is degeneration, and sometimes it's not even just that things are breaking down in the body, but like it will start breaking down in how you interact with the environment. Like, you know, somebody who has a bad back, you get the back feeling better, and then as they're walking to the car, they trip and throw their back out again. And then, it's like it's a series of
Yeah,
just these incidences that keep putting the body in a traumatized state. And I still would go back to this component. I still would look at the aura, right? I would look at the different aspects of the aura, but the body component of it is this vibrational component. And if the aura has been negative for a long period of time, the vibratory rate of the body is just going to be low, right? And so even after you clean the aura up, the body will start improving. But then if the body has like some sort of degeneration or compromised area, it's like, well, it will get better, but it's not getting better fast enough. Let's accelerate this process. And so, eventually what can happen is, we have the whole thing with the aura series, and then we have this work with the vibratory work that, this is like an introduction to it. The vibrational healing is an even more systematic way of dealing with it, but it's not even more complicated. It's just a little bit more involved. And so you could treat the aura and then treat the vibratory rate and then the symptoms. But then eventually, after you've treated that for a little bit, you actually flip the aura and the vibration, and you treat the vibration first, because then the body is going to start letting go of more of that old conditioning. And then you flush it more out of the aura, and then you go to the symptoms. But you have to do the aura first and then the vibration, and then the symptom for a little while. And then as the body and the aura gets a little bit more conditioned, it can handle releasing more. Because if the body is like fragile or has been broken down or is weakened, it can't handle that kind of release. So by doing the aura first and then the vibration, the body can do it at a rate that it's comfortable with. But then when it gets more like fortified and stabilized, then you can flip it and you can make big changes in the body really quickly Like, you're basically still helping the body to help itself, but you can shift the body very, very deeply. And the body and the energy body, the aura can handle the shift. But I mean, even right now, I have a couple people that I work on that their body and emotions and things are so fragile that I started working on them. Only I would work on them once a week, and we were only doing like 7 to 10 minutes at a time. And then we got up to 15 minutes. And then we get up to about 20 or 30 minutes. And then eventually we'll do a full session. But their body was in such a state that if I would have done a full healing on it, it probably would have put them in a healing crisis. So you see that a lot in people who have been like really traumatized or have like really, really, really profound levels of panic, or people with seizures, like seizure disorders. You have to go just little bits at a time, because if you shift the body too much, they'll actually start to have a seizure. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much. That
You're
helps a
so
lot.
yeah.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey, Greg. So, kind of following a bit of a thread from your conversation with Robert,
Mhm.
and the legs.
Mhm.
So, for having personally experienced that violent energy and
Yeah.
physical trauma, I had two questions because every now and then images come up that
Mhm.
I don't need to see anymore.
Sure.
Um, I almost feel like it's this balance between mind holding on to it and then like I'm trying to release and the
Mhm.
mind's getting in the way saying, hey, remember this. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really need to see any more of that.
Right.
So would that be cleared in this aspect of the
Yeah,
karmic
I, I
imagery?
I would I would say so. Like,
Okay.
because a good part of those like old memories like that, they're usually stuck more in the body than in the emotions and mind, but they'll
Yep.
affect the emotions and mind.
Yep.
Like you'll keep recalling it because the body is still like, we have to resolve this. We have to, like, the body doesn't go, it happened 30 years ago. The body was like, that just happened a little bit ago. It's a little
Hmm.
bit like a dog. Like, as soon as you're out of view, they're like, oh, that person died. Oh, look, they're alive again. Oh, they died. Oh, they, like it's
Yep.
quite that extreme, but kind of,
Yep.
and so the body doesn't process the time the way our mind and emotions do. And,
Sure.
and so it just kind of feels like it's still happening to the body. And
Mhm.
so when I say the body, I would also say the energy body can be that way too. Like it can get stuck in the energy body, and not
Mhm.
so much up here, but like down low, or
Yep.
sometimes in the organs of blood purification. They could get stuck in the organs.
Yeah, I found cords when we were doing the process
Yeah.
in spleen and liver. I'm like, seriously, get out of my organs now.
Right.
Because from yesterday to today, it was a little bit more to the effect of I I had a conversation with myself at a younger age who
Mhm.
was really upset about not being acknowledged for what happened. And then images come up and
Sure.
I'm like, yes, got
Yeah.
it. We accept that. We'll move on. I was working through the process last night. Huge release from the hips down to the feet, just
Yeah.
tremors.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, very similar to exercises like tension
Right.
release exercise, just shaking it out of the body. It was going.
Right.
And but I was perplexed with like, okay, so can we drop the image now? Like we acknowledge, we see. So this one would be good. And then I was wondering if there's anything else, um, what you would recommend. Should I do red myrtle to just keep working through the
Um,
process?
the myrtle around the bottom is pretty good.
Yep.
And you could use frankincense and galbanum, and what's the other one? Myrrh. But
Hmm.
I do like myrtle for this. Like we were just kind of
Okay.
quietly chatting. Like I forget how nice myrtle is. Like I just
Okay.
forget. And usually you would use it for some sort of respiratory thing or, you know, but it's it's very
Hmm.
it's very healing and it's very, very, very soothing. Like it's so soothing that like if you have a like child that you're trying to treat like under
Mhm.
the age of 6 or 7, you don't use like eucalyptuses and things. You use myrtle to treat their respiratory stuff. And it's part of it is because it's so soothing. Like
Okay.
it opens up the lungs and relaxes the diaphragm, but it's also very, very soothing just to the energy body.
Okay.
And I would work that for a bit. Like I like the idea of that. Um, you know, in just inhaling it is very therapeutic, but directing it to those lower legs and the feet,
Mhm.
I mean, it's nice. Like it's very, very soothing, very cleansing. It's cleansing because the legs and the energy body are being soothed, and then because of that, the body kicks more off. So like, there's times where we use things that are just very cleansing, but sometimes it can only
Mm.
cleanse as much as the body's willing to participate, if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
myrtle makes your body go, yeah, let's do this. Let's clean out the closet and let's take the garbage out. Like, it's like it gets kind of enthusiastic about letting it go. And part of it is because it's so soothing.
Well, I think that makes sense for me
Yeah.
thinking about it. Like if your body is used to violent attack,
Yeah. Any
it's
sort of
not really
aggression,
receptive.
violence, negativity,
Hmm.
rejections, even like hostility,
Yep.
competitiveness, and you're working the legs and the sex chakra, but it's not about sex. It's the sex chakra. Like when you really purify the lower legs,
Hmm.
the sex chakra starts kicking out that like those projections and the psychic attack stuff that's finally hit the chakras, right? And
Yep.
so that's why it's like you do the legs and then you go to the sex chakra just to flush it out. But
Hmm.
there's areas in the body where if there's a lot of negativity projected at you, it hits those spots, and one is the basic, but it's the arms and the legs, but especially the legs, like
Hmm.
especially the legs. Yeah.
Hmm. Very
Yeah.
cool. Super. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Someone, when you were talking to Robert about the lower leg stuff, they said, no wonder when I work on people, sometimes I see chains around their feet holding them
Oh, yeah.
back. Now I know the reason,
Yeah.
the cause.
I totally could see that, especially if you're intuitive, you would see a lot of imagery, and chains would be one of them.
And then is the red myrtle different than the regular one? I have regular.
Both will work. Yeah, yeah, both will work. They're very similar. They have a slightly different scent, and some people even sell red myrtle as just regular myrtle. So, and yeah.
Question, so working the legs and sex chakra flushes out all the chakras?
It's more of fleshing out just things in your field. Yeah, you're fleshing things out of the energy body, out of the aura, especially the lower aura, which will eventually influence the chakras. It's like it gives the chakras like breathing room, like our fresh air. You know how like sometimes you're in a place and you're like, oh God, I just need a breath of fresh air.
Hmm.
Your energy body does that sometimes. And as much as we clean the whole thing, a lot of times the thing that's really feeling stale or stagnant is the hips down, especially the knees down, but the hips down. Yeah.
Can red myrtle be put in water or coffee for internal use?
Yeah, you could do it, but it probably is better inhalation or topical. But you could take a little bit internal. Yeah. But I tried it. It was okay. Inhaling it, I get way more out of it than internal. But you can experiment.
And the person with the chain said, thank you for that affirmation about me
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
chains.
And you know, for that, like if you're doing massage on people and you're working their legs, I mean, you can use some sort of oil or some way of clearing the legs so that the body work goes deeper. You know, like I talk about, I get like trigger point work done from time to time. And uh you know, I was always focused on the back and the neck and everything. And we started working my legs, and I was like, man, he could just look at my legs and they would start hurting. Like I'd start like going, and he's like, I'm not even touching you. I was like, but you're thinking about him in a really mean way. You know, I would joke back with him. And uh he could barely put pressure on my legs. And I mean, it would just hurt so bad. I would come home, do this process before the next time I would go see him. And I mean, he could put all the pressure on it that he wanted. And I was like, I mean, I could feel it. It kind of hurt, but I mean, I wasn't begging for mercy and giving him my passwords and everything to everything in my life. You know what I mean? To stop, you know.
The technique was quite powerful energetically with the
Yeah.
myrtle.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share that the lower leg quadrant thing with the materialization breath and the myrtle. I've never experienced that with the materialization breath before either.
Right.
Like I think I told you,
Yeah.
I got goosebumps. But
Right.
the first round, sometimes, not
Yeah.
quirky, but quirky things happen. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that was new. But even every single round, it
Right.
was like still goosebumps,
Right.
still goosebumps,
Right. Yeah.
still goosebumps. Like
Yeah.
that was very, very interesting.
Plus, you looked more awake when we did
Oh,
that.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I've stayed awake, that might sound weird, but
So sometimes when you're expelling, even though your chakra is pushing it out, say, even it's the throat or the heart or the solar plexus, part of it is it will pump things out, but sometimes it only pumps it out so far into the aura. And then if it doesn't completely leave the aura, it'll start to settle down at the bottom part. So sometimes you're even kind of, I don't know, marinating in stuff that came out of your chakras, right? Like you kicked off diseased energy. And so that lower area, it eventually will dissipate, but might not do it faster.
and just kind of in that note, I really liked that you did the A, then B, then A, then
Right.
B again because of that kind of thing.
Yeah. You can kind of feel it.
Yeah. Someone said it was a whole body event.
Oh, good. Yeah. So, on Wednesday night, we'll do a study group where we go through and do kind of like a quick version of this, directed at an area that you wish for healing. So shoulder or back, or if you have a thyroid issue, you focus on the thyroid. If you have a jaw issue, you focus on the jaw. But let's just go through and maybe have one more experience with this last little component. So whatever oil you used, frankincense, galbanum, myrrh, myrtle, or red myrtle.
So for that last process, guys.
Yeah, that last process that we just did. And begin inhaling, and you're doing the left side. So from the top of your hip down the whole leg, the left side of the leg, down to the bottom of the foot. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then move to the front. So again, from the top of the hips, all the way down the front of your legs, tops of your feet to the bottom part of your foot, each of your feet. Then the right side, from the top of the hips, down the whole right side, the right leg, right ankle, to the bottom of the foot, the bottom of the right foot. And then the back side, top of the hips, down the whole backside of your lower body, your legs and lower legs, your heels to the bottom of your feet. So your hips down to the bottom of your feet. And then the sex chakra. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. You're still in the sixth chakra. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just let go. Bottle to your chest, chin down. Do 8 or 9 of the materialization breaths at your own pace. Oh, just found a bottle of Sister Supreme. And then just be still. Then one more time, bottle to your chest, chin down, 8 or 9 of the materialization breaths. And then notice how you feel. Okay, so we share, ask questions. I think there was still a couple questions that came up just as we started that process. So
Myrtle Supreme is good as
yeah,
well.
yeah, Myrtle Supreme would work.
And then what's in it?
Myrtle Supreme. Let's see. Red myrtle, regular myrtle, green myrtle,
Lemon.
lemon myrtle, aniseed myrtle, honey myrtle. I feel like I'm leaving a myrtle out.
Really?
Aniseed, green.
I
No, I think that's
think
it.
that's it.
That's it. So all the myrtles. Yeah.
And go ahead, Teresa. Oh,
Hey,
you know, what?
Teresa.
I can make sure. Yeah, you can unmute.
Hey,
Mm.
is there a body tonic that could complement this one?
Um, what I was using the last couple of weeks was I was slapping on larch
Okay.
on the lower legs and legs, and
Yep.
then on my neck. And I was pretty happy with it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This
It's-
round was very gentle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Very kind of like ices the cake and pulls everything together.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for the class today.
Good, good. I'm glad you enjoyed.
I'm thinking this process would be good to do before working a stack, question mark.
I'd say for a little while, do it after the stack. We'll talk about the parameters later. Eventually you would do it before, but I would actually do it after. Like do your stack and then go through and do the process. Yeah. And we'll be talking about that a little bit more in the vibrational healing class because we're doing like it's not more complicated, it's just like more involved and a little bit more specific and structured. So we'll be talking about it there as well.
And go ahead, Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
Hey, Greg. So that last round just
Mhm.
made my chest hurt really a lot. So
Made your where
you're
hurt?
my chest, the that feeling that I get where there's a lot of pressure and contraction in
Hmm.
across. So that I'm getting instead of like the anxiety lower that I used to get, it's now
Mhm.
in the upper chest and then the asthmatic breathing. Like
Mhm.
even now to take in a breath to talk, it like it hurts down in the bronchioles. So it would the larch using the larch take care of
Yeah,
it
the
or is there
large should
something
help. You see how I do my fingers, and I might have asked you this before, but you see how I do my fingers? Are you able to do this, or is it like that where you can't touch? Can you?
um it's I can almost touch and it's really, really tight.
Mhm. Okay.
When I say tight, I mean like the knuckles are tight I have to really push
You have to
and
really
like
push, but they do touch.
mm,
Oh, they don't. They
no,
don't quite.
they
Okay.
don't quite touch. There's like a
Okay.
quarter inch.
So the issue there is what you're testing when you do this is you're testing the scalenes in the base of your, yeah, the deep in your neck, and the like the brachial plexus, which is a big bundle of nerves, comes through. Like if this is the scalenes, it kind of comes through there, and what happens is they'll contract and then they'll compress the nerves, and then it affects how your fingers are. Now we're not necessarily talking about that for the sake of the hands, but when the scalenes are contracted like that, the byproduct is paradoxical breathing, which means your breath gets flipped. So like on you know how like when you would inhale your like naturally without trying to force it, like when you inhale, normally the abdomen would expand, and then as you exhale, the abdomen would compress, you know, if you're not thinking about it, right? But with paradoxical breathing, as you inhale, the abdomen compresses, and then, you know, or you're just chest breathing. And so that usually means a bit of a neck issue. And so the thing that you would want to do is the that will keep throwing the bronchioles into a spasm. And so the like the work with like hiss up, like you don't even have to do a pattern. Just do like long, slow, deep breaths, and don't really like force it at the end of the breath. Just you know, like don't try to like expand the lungs as hard as you can. And it won't be fast, but like within a week or two, it should start unwinding those scalenes enough to where the paradoxical breathing will flip. You know, the only other way is to get in there either energetically or have somebody get in and manipulate them, but they're so deep that they can be a little bit hard to manipulate. And you know, one of them is like when it contracts, it will even pop. You know, there's a the like a first rib, like you can't feel it here. It's like deep and smaller, and what happens sometimes is it'll pop the rib up a little bit, and so the inhalation will allow everything to relax. Ribs, like if you open up and relax things, the ribs a lot of times will pop back into place. And so I wouldn't be too worried if it's out or not out or anything, but definitely do things to relax the scalenes. And that's why the breath keeps doing what it's doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like if you want to look it up, it's scalenes, like SCALENES, and then it's tied to paradoxical breathing. Yeah. Like it is actually the cause of paradoxical breathing. Yeah. I mean, it can happen with a neck injury. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why it can happen, but I've seen cases of it where, you go, okay, is there whiplash? Is there's this? Is there's that? But even when the body gets really fatigued, actually can cause paradoxical breathing. Like, it will cause those muscles to contract. The scalenes basically keep your head like up and stable. Like if your scalenes weren't working, your head would just kind of flop. You know what I mean? So it's like the stabilizing aspect of the cervical spine. And when they're tight, it starts to make the whole like neck tight, like the whole area, because everything's trying to compensate for the scalenes. Yeah.
Really think this is related to
Yeah.
some
Oh
of the
yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
that I personally talked to you about,
Right.
that there's just a real resistance to, and because it just keeps coming back and forth. It's like,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. I
thanks.
mean, I had a really bad case of paradoxical breathing when I was in my 20s. And I went years with it. And finally, uh there was a like physical therapist that got in there and kind of relieved some of it, but I used hyssop and that herb lobelia. And between the two of them, I completely unwound it. Yeah.
So my thought though is that because it I will go for a while and it'll feel like it's gone, and
Mhm.
then I will get it back again. So am I hearing you say that I haven't really released it?
Yeah, well, you probably haven't resolved the muscle. Like you might relax them somewhat, but they're still kind of there. Like even when you feel the symptoms resolve, I'd keep treating it for a good like another 30, 60 days. Like just really like push it in that direction of doing it. And
So it's not the emotional piece that's reactivating it?
no,
Okay,
no. It is purely mechanical.
great. All right.
Yeah.
So could this be related to the thyroid?
I mean, it could make the thyroid maybe not function as well. Like,
That's what
so
I'm saying.
I don't know that the thyroid would cause the muscle issue, but the
No,
muscle
no,
issue
no.
could definitely cause the thyroid to not function as well. Yeah.
Okay, because you kept saying that there was something mechanical, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Danelle, then Sonia.
Hey, Danelle.
Hey Greg, you can hear me okay?
Yes. How are you?
All right. My computer's making noise. My question is, I kind of was agitated before this last process, the
Mhm.
very last one. And then when we did it again, the agitation got a little bit better. I would say it's still a little bit there, but kind of more
What
tired.
what what stage did you get agitated? Do you remember? Did it just happen right off the bat, or did it happen like as we progressed
Um,
through the day?
oh, the last one, I was using frankincense,
Oh, so
with
you
this,
just got
yeah,
agitated in the very last one.
just kind of the very last one. Yeah.
Hmm. Try inhaling on your liver. I know that
Okay.
sounds weird, but like and
Okay.
it sounds unrelated, but let's just see if you unwind the liver. Sometimes when the aura is like really impacted, I kind of
Mhm.
like to go back and forth between the liver and then the aura, and then the liver and then the aura, and then the liver.
Okay.
And you know, when you look at it from the point of view of the organs of blood purification, they each kind of impact something. They're not completely in charge of it, but they impact it. And the liver is the aura. And so you're starting to flush something out, and sometimes um especially if it's been a lot of things projected at you. One of
Yeah,
the
that would
areas that
make
it,
sense.
yeah, one of the areas that it will hit is the liver. And
Okay.
what kind of work do you do?
I do hypnotherapy and also a lot of trauma work, mental
Do
health
you
therapy too. Yeah.
do you touch the patients at all?
When I'm doing, and I do energy work on some of them I do.
But you lay your hands on them?
Yeah.
So well, some of it could also be that. Like
Okay.
the still do the liver, but what happens sometimes is the energy will go up the arms. You know, as you're doing the energy work, it
Yeah.
displaces some, it'll start to go up the arms and it will hit the back heart, but it will hit the liver really hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Should I use the
I had
same
that
oil?
issue. You could use the same oil, you could use
Okay.
other things that are cleansing, but like you just gotta
Yeah.
flush it out.
Flush
Yeah.
it out. Okay.
Like
Okay.
uh I used to get that so bad in my early days that it would make me like sick for 2 or 3 weeks. Like I'd get these low grade fevers and like a lot of inflammation, and I would like sleep like 20 hours a day. Would go to the doctor, they were like, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I was like, "Whoa, there's something wrong with me." And
Yeah.
I was started going to an acupuncturist, and he started saying, he goes, "Yeah, this is healer's disease. Like when people do you know some sort of healing modality, they get this condition, and every couple of years you're probably going to be sick for a week or two." I was like, "That's ridiculous." But the issue was that like you know I kind of just went through that for a few years, and then I started doing like more cleaning on the energy body, but especially the liver. Never had
Okay.
it, never had it
Oh,
again. Like
okay.
in 25 years or something. Like that first 5 years was rough. That after I started doing the more energy, you know, flushing and cleaning, you know, because you're cleaning off the people that you worked on. Like you know, there's like a
Yes.
level of contamination. And you just, you know, do things that are just purifying to the body. Hyssop, Palo Santo, chocolate root cleanser, coffee, you know, any of those things just to keep flushing things out of your body, especially the arms, and from time to time do a little work on your liver, it'll be fine.
It'll be
But
fine. Okay.
that's why you're feeling the agitation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was wondering because I had typed in earlier and I had COVID again and then
Oh,
bronchitis and
bummer.
sinus. So that was
Yeah.
me. So I wasn't sure if it was related to all that
Yeah.
stuff physically that I'm going through
Yeah.
too.
Bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you. I will do those things.
Good.
And go ahead, Sonia, and then we have a couple questions and
Hey, Sonia.
Hi, like my neurophysical therapist said like my breathing is shallow and the tension in my spinal cord is off and my muscle spasms are from neurological, not muscular. And so I told that to the network chiropractor, and he said, yeah, the tension is off, and it's because the top cervicals pull right and the bottom coccyx sacral pull left, and it's causing uh, a sticking point about where the back solar plexus is, and he says it's causing the lower intercostals and diaphragm and solar plexus to spasm, and he says that's a spot where the the adrenal nerves come out too. So that's why I'm getting the adrenal insufficiency. So he worked on it and straightened it out enough that it's working and it's holding. And he popped out stuff in my neck so that, where released something in my neck where he said my thyroid is working. So be careful about the testing to make sure if I still need that. So it's holding, but so I went home and then I couldn't sleep all night. I got a ton of adrenaline. And I got up and the next day and I went to the physical therapist and stuff. And I got up and the adrenal started going up and it kept going up. And finally after the physical therapy, I went and the grocer has a 16-ounce holy basil tea with the 3 varieties, and it's got rose petals and ashwagandha and some cinnamon. So I ran over and took that, and things stopped rising. But I'm still not used to this level of adrenaline, and I'm having a hard time getting any sleep. And I'm not sure what to do with it.
Well, if,
Or how to
if
regulate
the
it.
holy basil was working for you with the tea, have you tried just using holy basil like capsules or the oil or anything like that?
No, I've been continued with the tea, and I have some ashwagandha at home that I've used some in uh
Try increasing I mean, ashwagandha is good for the adrenals as well, but try increasing some basil as well. Basil is really super good for the adrenal.
I have I use a lot of basil in my cooking.
Yeah.
So what did you want me to do with the basil?
Take it internally. Yeah.
Okay.
And will do what?
It's good for the adrenals.
And Robert posted the links for basil and holy basil in the thing, so you can choose if you want to use basil oil or holy basil, and yeah, so that'll be good. And then we had a couple people in chat as well ask, how many times a week can we do this?
Well, you could do it daily. Yeah, totally.
This was a great weekend, lots of thank yous.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Which large body tonic, the spagyric? When you were suggesting large, I think it was to.
Yeah, like with the spagyric, like it's got oils and hydrosol and a bunch of tincture in it. So usually if I'm making body tonics as much as I can right now, we're adding tinctures to all the body tonics. So it's not just essential oil. So if you order a large body tonic, it's going to be spagyric. So.
And lots of thank yous, great class, very helpful.
Yeah.
So, and thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed. So remember Wednesday night study group, like Tuesday night Q&A, but Wednesday night we'll have a study group from 7:45 to about 8:30 or so.